It's time now for Wings Nation on MRN. A whole hour of talk about the best chicken wings in the nation. No, wait a minute. That's not right. Hold on. Where's the script? Oh, here it is. This is what we're supposed to do. Here we go. An entire hour of wing sprint car talk. Now, two people who love their chicken wings as much as wing sprint cars. Steve Post and Kendra Jacobs.
Hello again, everyone. Craig told me.
It's the first time I've heard that.
Well, Craig wouldn't let me listen to it. He says, I've got a new open, but I want you to hear it on the air first time.
That was great.
That was great, and we do love chicken wings.
There are times when we do talk about chicken wings.
Yes, indeed.
So
and
Wing
Wing
Nation,
Sprint
Wing
Cars,
Nation.
MRN Wing Nation, presented by Hercules Tires. We are glad you joined us here as we now start up the conversation for 2016 in sprint cars. Kendra, 42 weeks to do this. We're so excited and already ready to go.
Well, everyone's like, it's been so long. Steve, I don't feel like it's been that long since we were doing World Finals show here with Donny Schatz. So to me, it's been a quick off season. Almost zero off season when you look at what all these drivers have been racing. Yeah,
you know, we had a great year last year, and with adding the MAV TV show and adding all this stuff, you know, by the end of the year it was like, okay,
yeah.
You know, I mean, folks, the truth of this is Kendra was sick of me. Okay, that's the truth. You know,
that would never
but it's
happen,
just like
Steve.
it was great to have a downtime, and this is the same way it works with me with NASCAR. I'm great with the downtime for December. Of course, I'm a holiday, decorate with the girls and everything else. Love the whole Christmas season. But I'm telling you what, with winter heat starting on January 1st, you know, and I love my college football, but it was so great, and that got me fired back up. And now it's been like the longest 2 weeks of my life, waiting to get back in here, waiting to get talking sprint car racing with winter heat, and then the Chili Bowl, and won't be long, and they'll be slinging dirt all over the country. So, and you were at the Chili Bowl.
I was. I finally got to go back.
Oh,
First time in like
gosh.
16 years I got to go back. And I would say, well, I do know some of the things I was thinking about 16 years ago, but I didn't remember how great it was. I was like, oh my gosh, this is such an amazing event.
Well, 16 years ago, you were a 7-year-old girl, so it is different.
It was very different for me.
Yes, very different, that's for sure.
Yes, so it was a great, I'm really excited to see Rico Abreu win it again, and the energy of that crowd was just amazing. I mean, you would definitely hear when the lights went out and they did driver introductions, you got to feel by the applause of who they wanted to win. And the native Oklahoman, Christopher Bell, was probably the crowd favorite, followed closely by Rico Abreu.
That's cool.
So Christopher led the opening laps, had an unfortunate accident early.
Yeah.
Rico leads the final 10, and the crowd goes wild.
Crowd goes wild,
it was
absolutely. Rico going to join us this week on our Wing Nation.
He brought a guest with him, too.
Yeah, the Driller. Rico
the
and the Driller.
Driller.
And the Golden Driller. That is Wing Nation on MAV TV presented by Sage Fruit. That is Saturday morning, 9:30 and 12:30. So make sure you twist us in there. So, Kendra, let's get right at it, though, because we'll talk a lot. We'll talk a lot about a lot of things, but let's get right to our Valco Racing Wheels results page. Kokopah, winter heat. And, man, what a wild one this one was. A lot of drivers. First off, 43 cars, they average. 43.8.
That shows you how great this event is and how desperate these guys are to race.
Up from 32.
Yeah,
when you add 12 cars to your average, you're doing something right. And I know in talking to some teams that weren't there, they were like, just the way this thing goes, when you get done with the World Finals, you've got only 5 weeks. And just can't do it. But they wanted to go, and people were saying, you know, because of the purse, because of the way they do it, because of the activity.
Fantastic.
So really, really good. Winners down there, Dale Blaney, who we're going to talk to a little bit later on. Kyle Larson picked up the win on Saturday night. Then Shane Stewart took over, won a couple of them, and Danny Lasowski won the finale. Shane Stewart won the championship over Dale Blaney, Darren Pittman, Greg Hodna, and Lasowski. What a great, great event. What a great time.
It was so fun just to have the banter back on social media, to have the race monitor to follow, to have the video to watch. It was like, oh, man, that 5 weeks was too much. I need this midweek racing.
We've talked about the health of sprint car racing across the country, and I'm really noticed this top 5. You've got World of Outlaws with Shane Stewart. You've got All-Stars with Dale Blaney. You got World of Outlaws with Darren Pittman. You got Pennsylvania Posse in a car that was fielded by a Californian. They shipped a car.
I missed this.
Yeah, Hefner shipped a car to a guy in California who fielded the car. So it was a combination.
That is very
Pennsylvania,
cool.
California thing. It was the 121 car. We see it run on the King of the West series and Midwest with Danny Lasowski. Again, one of the themes over the last couple of years is the parity across the sport. Right there at a neutral racetrack, a neutral site. 2 Outlaws, one Ohio, one Posse/California, one Midwest guy. What more can you ask for?
And let's throw in a NASCAR driver got a win.
Oh, that's right. By the way, that Larson kid.
Yeah, I mean, with a car fielded from California, Paul Silva's car.
That's right.
So fantastic week of racing. The fans that I've talked to that were out there loved every minute of it. Just said how well it was organized and run and just
activities during the week. Yep. They had golfing and bowling and different other things, and just really, really good. Drivers from 19 states, 2 Canadian provinces entered, and stay tuned. Winter heat next year, I'm sure, going to be bigger and better.
That's a huge haul to take all your equipment out there. So for 44 drivers and teams to say that's worth it says a lot for what they do out there at that racetrack.
Really, really cool. So good stuff. 30th annual Lucas Oil Chili Bowl. Top 5, Rico Abreu, Brian Clausen, Zach Daum, Jerry Coons Jr., and Kyle Larson.
From 22nd
Larson was digging.
to 5th.
Yeah.
Up on the wheel.
I was watching on Mav, and you can see him in the back there coming along.
I had my eye on the lead and my eye on the Parker Star. I'm like, where's that 71? And you just saw it creep and creep. And I was like, man.
He was digging.
If this race was, or if the high side had come in 10 laps quicker.
They ran a long green flag run at the beginning
really
of it.
Long. And
which that doesn't always help a guy that's in the back.
Right.
You know,
right.
I mean,
he got to like 17th and kind of got trapped there behind 3 cars battling for position. Once he got past them, then it was like full steam ahead.
Great
so
stuff.
had he gotten around them quicker, it just seems like that race is Larson's like Achilles heel. Like he can't seem to get a win there, which is really surprising for his history in midgets.
Absolutely. Preliminary night winners, Alex Bright, Rico Abreu won on Wednesday, Christopher Bell on Thursday, Brian Clausen won on Friday. The 8th annual VacuWorks International Race of Champions, Tanner Thorson, another one of the great young talents, and Kendra, 335 drivers. They started on Saturday with N, as in Nancy, Mains.
And 2 of each letter.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a long day of racing. So you think like, oh my gosh, is racing from 9 till midnight, really? That place was packed. I mean, there were people showed up at like 8:30 and did not leave. But it's so well done, Steve. Like it's sold out. So if you don't have a ticket, you either have a pit pass where there's a giant screen you can watch the race, or out in the food court there's TV screens everywhere you can watch the race. In the media center there's TV screens. Back in the trade show area there's TV screens.
So you can
no
follow
matter
it with
where
having to
you are,
be bolted down to your
right. You can get up, go get. There's a bar, like you can sit up at the bar and watch. There's the food court you sit around and eat with your friends down at picnic tables, watch the race.
Man,
it is a fantastically put on show by Blaney and Emmett and Donna. I mean, they just do a fantastic job all the way around.
Bucket list. If Craig Moore, our producer, if you're listening, Craiger, next year you got to work on this.
Well, our friends at Mav TV are involved a little bit.
I know. We've got a lot of friends. We got a lot of friends are involved. We might have to make some phone calls because that is number one on my bucket list.
That we would have a lot of fun at.
Got to get that done. And they've been racing down under in Australia. And, you know, we've talked about this, Kendra. I just struggle with following along with Australia.
Yeah.
I can't get the days and what day is it and who did this, and Schatz won again. Well, is this his second or third one? Schatz won 5 down there during his entire stay out of 7.
That is incredible.
Yeah. So
really nothing's changed
nothing
in the
has
Schatz
changed.
camp. Okay,
just looking at it since the beginning of the year, I went back to just the first of the year. Schatz had 3 wins in 2016. His 4 were previous to that. Jonathan Allard has 3 wins this year. Kerry Madsen, Brad Sweet, Brooke Tatnell were among the race winners. I mean, just amazing what is going on down under and following along with it. We'll talk about it later on, but the big one is this coming weekend as well.
Oh, yeah, the Classic. This is a big deal.
So there you have it, the Valco Racing Wheels results page. Valco Racing Wheels made by racers for racers. More information at www.valco.com. Let's talk to race car drivers.
Finally.
When we come back, Donny Schatz joins us. Stay with us, everyone.
This is Tony Stewart. Kendra and Steve will be right back with more Wing Nation here on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Aggressive Hydraulics, where we engineer the cylinders that move your business. We specialize in crafting hydraulic cylinders and components with superior precision and performance, making OEM products stronger and creating more opportunities for distributors and repair facilities. Crafting cylinders that operate on a global basis in a wide variety of industries and applications. Get aggressive with your cylinder challenges. Aggressive Hydraulics.
Tickets are moving fast for the Daytona 500 on Sunday, February 21st, and it's your one chance to be a part of the biggest race in a generation. The all-new Daytona is 31 million pounds of steel, forged by racing's greatest legends in the heat of battle for the most coveted trophy in NASCAR, the 2016 Daytona 500. Now, forever. Seats at the all-new Daytona will sell out. Guarantee yours now at 1-800-PIT-SHOP or Daytona500.com.
This is Steve Post. Join me and Kendra Jacobs as Wing Nation returns to MAV TV on January 23rd. We talk with the biggest names in wing sprint car racing, give you the latest news, race results, and preview upcoming races. Wing Nation on MAV TV returns January 23rd. If you don't get MAV TV, contact your local TV provider and let them know that you want MAV TV.
You're listening to Wings Nation on MRN.com. Talking more dirt? Here's Steve and Kendra.
We are so glad you joined us talking sprint car racing, our favorite time of the week. And on our Classic Inc. pole position is a guy that has done everything, including just down under. Donny Schatz joining us. And all guests on Wing Nation appear via the Hercules Tires hotline. Joining us now on the Hercules Tire hotline is Donny Schatz. Hello, Donny. Welcome back.
Hi, Steve. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Great. Finally got back home here, trying to get through this stack of paperwork and see if there's enough money to pay all the bills.
So that was going to be one of my first questions is you're back home, so you're not racing the Classic, which everyone down there equates to the Knoxville of Australia. Why would you not stay and race that one?
I've enjoyed my time just going and staying at Brisbane there and being part of John and Kathy Kelly's thing. I kind of stepped away from doing the Classic years ago. You know, the end of the month, it just it takes so much away from you. You know, it's another 2 or 3 weeks past when I'm comfortable staying till. So I just decided to do other things and make sure we're 110% ready to go for the World of Outlaws season.
Well, indeed. Now, you came back, and I believe you ran your late model over in Arizona at that event and everything. But are you beyond the stack of paperwork, the jet lag, everything like that? You're in pretty good shape on that?
I'm pretty good, Steve. I actually was pretty lucky. I got back in the States last Monday evening. I came all the way home to Fargo, and I was home Tuesday and got a few things done. We got a lot of remodeling and stuff going on in the car wash here in Fargo. So I got caught up for a day and then headed to the Wild West Shootout out in Tucson on Wednesday. So I got a little bit of time, and today's my first day back. So it's kind of nice to be home, even though it is sub-zero temperatures.
Yeah, unbelievable out there. We talk about this all the time, that the race season is so long. Specifically, World of Outlaws sprint car season is incredibly long, and everyone needs a break. But honestly, is that just us thinking that you guys need a break? Because it seems to me that you guys don't feel you need a break.
Drivers, no. I don't think it's a big issue for the drivers. But when you have to be very considerate to the race team's time and their preparation. I had somebody asking me last week, and why don't you go to Yuma? Why don't you go to Yuma? And it's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, when you leave a couple days after Christmas, you've got to pretty much be ready for the whole year. And that's something that these teams, they really spend a lot of time prepping things. And to get ready for Volusia, they have a heck of a time. So you move that timeline up 6 weeks and send them out on the road for another 2 weeks and scrambling. I think it just puts you in a real tough position team-wise. Me, I could go and race 356 days a year, but those guys that work on the cars, they only got so much threshold that they can take being away from their families and counting car washes.
That's exactly how much time you spend there. How are things looking for your team as you get ready to defend yet another championship on the World of Outlaws? Ricky, everything's still the same? Everything gearing up, ready to go?
Absolutely. Them guys I've kept in touch with them as much as possible. You know, Rick's always working on different things, and he's always got some really great ideas. So I'm kind of curious to see if we got any headers running through the cockpit or running out under the wing or anything crazy. He's always thinking and trying to get himself a little bit ahead. So excited to get back in the car and see if everything's better.
While you were gone in Australia, the Outlaws made their announcement of the schedule for 2016. Have you had a chance to look over that? And are there any races that kind of stand out to you as something you're more looking forward to than others?
Well, I've heard that we're going to a few places that we haven't before, and that's always really cool. But honestly, I'm just kind of looking towards March. That's about as far out as you can, trying to do planning. When it comes into them summer months, that's still such a long ways out to do any planning, because you just never know what's going to happen. I guess you take one day at a time before you get too far ahead of yourself. So I'm looking forward to that. And I know they got 90-plus races on the schedule, but you got to, plan on having some rainouts, some reschedules, and some places disappearing and adding here and there. So, no, I haven't had a whole lot of chance to see what the schedule entails for every night.
Donny, your stats are just amazing. 31 wins last year, 7th World of Outlaw Championship. It's just amazing. To me, the stat that just jumps off the page, and this is you as much as Ricky and the guys, 178 consecutive races without a DNF. It was September of 2013. The last time. That has got to be, as a driver, so comforting, climbing aboard that race car knowing there's a really good shot. If I don't make too many mistakes, that car's going to be running at the finish and running well.
Well, them guys do a great job with it, but now that it's something that you brought up, I'm sure it'll probably end that streak sooner than later. But it's just the way you try to keep yourself out of trouble, and obviously you have to have a little luck involved too. But over the course of time, you learn some of the guys that you can get around and race with wheel to wheel, and sometimes there's scenarios you have to just kind of stay out of them and let things unfold the way that you think they're going to. So, a lot of it comes down to, it might get pointed to me, but those guys know the feel that I'm looking for in my race car, and they know that if I get that feel, that I'm going to be able to maneuver and try to keep myself out of trouble and stay out of harm's way the way that I was taught to. So they work their hardest to try to make sure that I'm at that comfort level, and they do a damn good job of it.
Well, speaking of working your hardest, I don't know how to put this in the nicest terms, but you're looking awfully good these days. Like you
Wow.
are taking care of yourself. I think we've talked before about a stricter diet, working out all the time. Have you noticed a difference in your abilities or how you feel in the car or after a race since you've started this?
The endurance-wise, when I do go to the gym, and I have been training very hard, and it's just something I wanted to do for me, for everything, not just racing. I noticed my endurance at the gym is a lot more than it used to be anymore. You don't get winded. You don't get tired. It's just you can't get your muscles to do what you need them to do anymore. It's like you just exercise them to the max. So in the race car, no, it doesn't have a big factor on what it is I do. I think mentally it probably helps you make a little bit better decisions. But it takes a lot of effort. But it's something once you get in the hang of it and you get to doing it daily and it's part of your daily regime, it's something you look forward to and kind of playing yourself out at the end of the day. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully carrying on. I don't want to be a bodybuilder by any means, but, the sky's the limit on what you can do with your body and with your mind.
All right, Donny, final question, and you alluded to it a little bit earlier on. The car wash business, of course, you guys launched a car wash, but the car wash business in sub-degree temperatures, Fargo, North Dakota, with a car wash. Are there many people rolling through for car washes now?
Absolutely. The car wash business, believe it or not, in North Dakota is something that's pretty necessary. The roads, if it snows or it's sloppy out, you get that salt stuff on the road. The only way to get it off is wash, but we have a policy. If it's below 10 degrees Fahrenheit, we don't open until it's 5 degrees. And if it's any colder than that, you don't see a lot of traffic at that point. But it also takes so much time for them to heat the vehicle up to be able to wash it properly anyway that it's kind of non-existent for being able to happen. So, yeah, it's good, but it's like anything else. You can always do better, but you got to keep working at it.
No doubt. Keep working at it. That's what you do across the board with everything, and the results have been absolutely amazing. The 2015 World of Outlaw champion, what Donny has called the golden season, and it was with 31 wins. Donny, congratulations also on the Australian success. I know we'll talk to you throughout the season, but thanks for joining us here today on Wing Nation.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
There we go. That is Donny Schatz joining us here on the program. And Kendra, that 178 race stat is just amazing. But I think what's interesting about it, and yes, it is a testament to Ricky and the boys and the crew, but I really like what Donny says. You know your competitors. You stay out of situations where it's like, okay, I don't know this guy, or I know this guy has a tendency to be a little wild. Stay out of those situations. It just, again, shows to one of the topics we've had, Donny Schatz is not only one of the best, most talented, but one of the smartest drivers out there.
Well, and you think about what these guys' bodies go through racing, right? When you flip a sprint car, it's a violent wreck, and your body. So imagine a race car driver who has not had a severe accident on his body in almost 3 years.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine how good he feels compared to some of these other guys.
He hasn't been beat around and hasn't been flopping around in a race car.
No.
Good point. That is Donny Schatz. He was on the Classic Ink pole position. Classic Ink, screen printing and embroidery. Great T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, towels, shorts, hats, golf balls, and a whole lot more. Corporate, other sports, schools, special events. Find out more information at ClassicInkUSA.com. That's ClassicInkUSA.com. When we return, a Hall of Famer, Dale Blaney. He joins us next.
Hi, I'm Rico Aber, and you're listening to Wing Nation on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
Racers, that's who Valco Wheels are. That's who they know, and racing is what they know. Valco Wheels focuses oval track and grassroots racing, and understand racers need a quality wheel that fits your budget. With over 25 years experience, Valco Wheels produces the best product and give you face-to-face support and customer service at the track. Fast delivery, innovative products, problem solving. Find Valco Wheels at Valco.com on Twitter or Facebook, or call Valco Wheels at 609-758-7013. Valco Wheels.
Whatever you drive, wherever you go, Hercules Tires will get you there, whether you're running on dirt or running a job. Our dependable, high-quality tires are the perfect fit for your needs. For unmatched value, selection, and warranty with industry-leading road hazard protection, there's only one choice: Hercules Tires. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com or call 800-677-9535. Hercules Tires, right on our strength.
It's all over at Martinsville, Virginia. Richard Petty has pulled it off.
Throwback Thursday, classic MRN race broadcast on MRN.com.
Waltrip will win the track race to turn 3. Earnhardt gets him. Hard into the wall goes Waltrip. Hard goes Earnhardt. Everybody else spins either way.
Out of the number 4 corner down to the line. Neil Bonnet is going to win the Northwestern Bank 400. He'll beat Waltrip a 2-car length.
What a finish here at North Wilkesboro.
Throwback Thursday, Thursdays at 12:30 Eastern on MRN.com.
I'm Stevie Smith, now back to Wing Nation and Steve and Kendra.
Welcome back. Thank you, Stevie. We are so excited to get the 2016 season started off. And Kendra, big news last week with the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame, one of your favorite places, one of my favorite places on earth, outside of turn number 2, that they are going to be expanding the Blaney wing, if you will. A couple of years ago, it was Lou, the patriarch of the family. Then last year, I think it was it last year, was Dave. And not a shocker. We knew this was going to happen. It was just a matter of when. Dale Blaney being inducted this year. That happens in June. So joining us now via the Hercules Tire Hotline is the most recent Hall of Famer from the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Dale Blaney's on the line. Hello, Dale. How are you?
Hey, what's up, Steve? How are you doing?
Wait a minute. I failed in introducing you. I did the wrong way. Welcome to the show. Leah Blaney's dad is on the show. Now, how's that? Is that a proper introduction?
Yeah, that's awesome. Pretty cool.
You know, not to make this all about family, but I got to ask, Leah has been studying down under. How is that going for you, not having your daughter at home?
It's been okay so far. She actually doesn't start school until middle of February, so she's been over there vacation a little bit. She's going to go to all the races this weekend, which she's looking forward to, getting to, the Classic and all that. So I don't know. I talk to her every day. We either Skype, FaceTime, or message back and forth. So to me, it's just like she's in college at West Virginia, and we're just talking when she's, that's the way I'm feeling about it anyway.
There you go. Little mileage, but with the FaceTime and Skyping and everything, there's a lot of things you can do. Dale, when did you know you were going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and what was your immediate reaction when you found that out?
A guy from the Hall of Fame told me at the PRI show, I guess, and I don't know. It just pretty surreal, I guess. I don't know. It's just not much words you can say to talk about it, really. I mean, I still feel like I'm at the top of my game in racing. So usually when you're a Hall of Famer, it's like your career's over and done with. And I feel like I don't know how much time I got left, but I feel like I got plenty of time. And so I don't know. It's a weird feeling right now. The only thing I'm happy about is I was able to hold up my end of the Blaney family tradition and not let everybody down by not being a good race car driver. I kind of, my dad and my brother are so good, and felt like I held up my end okay, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to make you feel you got the successful old guy award. I mean, that's what getting inducted in the Hall of Fame is. So it's like, yeah, you're old. You finally reached that age.
Yeah, I know. It's hard for me to think that I'm 51, going to be 52 here in end of the month. So I don't know, age is a number, but I don't really feel like I'm that old, and still feel like, I still feel pretty good every morning and still race okay. So I don't know how much longer I can do it, but it feels good to be able to do it.
Well, I would guess that a lot of those young kids that you're beating every weekend also think the age is just a number, because they're still trying to compete with a 51-year-old and trying to beat you. So when you look at that against your competitors, how do you think, I mean, if you had to pinpoint, this is what I do better than them, that I'm still beating them, what is there any one thing besides George? Is there any one thing that you think you have over them?
Well, I'm awful glad I have George on my side, for sure, and not some of the young guys have him. But eventually that's going to probably happen, maybe. Who knows? But no, I don't know. I'm not really too sure. Truthfully, the way sprint car racing is now, our motors they run so hard, and I've never been a wide-open racer. And to me, the tires don't let you run wide open anymore. And the motors are so strong, it's just like you can't, I don't know, to me, I don't ever run wide open much, sometimes qualifying when I have to. But to me, I just think it's played into my hands a little bit, where it kind of suits my style the way the tires are. You've got to be, you got to be smooth, and you just got to be, 3/4 throttle, half throttle at times, come feature time. So I don't know, maybe it's played into my hands a little bit the way I drive. Everybody drives different, and evidently the tires and everything fit my characteristics right now pretty good.
Well, you keep bringing up tires, and that was kind of a hot topic over the offseason, is that the Outlaws have adopted a new tire rule, and that's kind of trickled down to every series and track. Can you walk us through what this tire rule is, why it's going to be different, and how that will affect you?
Truthfully, I really don't care. I don't know. When we get to Volusia County or Ocala, I guess is the first night we'll run them. We'll see how they are. But I don't know. The guys that can adapt the best, Schatz has adapted the best at everything that comes around. I don't know. We'll adapt to it and we'll race. I mean, the good guys will adapt and the bad guys won't. So hopefully George and I will figure it out quicker than everybody else. I mean, but I don't know. I mean, sprint car racing is tough. I mean, it's tough to have really, really good races. Every now and then we have an absolute, barn burn of a race, and sometimes we really don't. And I guess it's that way everywhere. NASCAR races are they're the same. IndyCar racing the same, and late model stuff. Every now and then you get a really good one, and you really get a really bad one. So just the way it is, and hopefully the tires make it a little bit more consistent where we can move around a little bit.
See what happens with that. Now, Dale, you started the season. You talk about competing with the younger drivers. January 1st, you already put one in the W column, winning that first race down at Kokopah. Tell us about the winter heat. Tell us about getting off to a good start down there. But why do all you racers keep going down there? It's a long way. It's a long tow, but you've done it both years. What are all the good things about what happens down at winter heat?
Well, it just gives you an opportunity to race. That's a really neat racetrack. It'll get slick. It can sometimes stay heavy. So it gives you all the characteristics you need. It pays really well. I'm not doing anything in Ohio January 1st through the 10th. So, I was pretty pleased that Janet, Holbrook wanted to go out there and run it. I feel like we learned a lot. George has never been there before. And anytime you can go to a new track and learn a little bit on somewhere else, I feel like it'll help us. It'll help George on down the road. And I felt like we were really, really good every night. We passed cars every night. There's about 4 or 5 of us that could really do that. The others kind of dictated on where they started, but I felt like overall our package was really good, and nothing's changed. So hopefully we can go to Florida and have a good Florida too.
When you look at this class of Hall of Famers, it's very Ohio kind of all-star like heavy. Does it make you proud to kind of look at these guys that you get to go in the class with? Frankie Courage, Shirley Kears, of all people, who's been around the racing in Ohio forever. Were you excited when you saw who the other people were that are in your class?
Extremely. Shirley's been awesome to me, to our family, and honored to go in with her. She's a great lady. Frankie Kerr, when I first started running with the All-Stars, he was the guy to beat, and ran a lot with Frankie. Learned a lot from Frankie. I mean, he truthfully runs a lot like I do now. That's how Frankie used to race, and I took a lot of stuff that I learned from Frankie, and it's probably made me a lot better race car driver. And hey, Gus Linder, I grew up when I was 12, 13, 14 years old and watched Gus race with my dad and all the guys back here, and he was awesome race car driver and fun to watch. It's pretty cool to go in with that. I know my brother went in with Mark Kinzer and Bobby Davis Jr., who he kind of grew up racing against, and I thought that was pretty special. And for me to go in with these guys, it's pretty special. And I guess anytime you go in with anybody, it's special, but makes it pretty cool to go in with Shirley and Frankie and Gus Linder and that.
Really, really cool. Your second Hall of Fame, because you're in the West Virginia Basketball Hall of Fame as well. So Hall of Famer across the board. Really,
you might be the first one. That's
first
like
dual Hall of Famer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow! Congratulations on that, Dale.
Thanks.
And I think it was
Steve Kinzer's probably in a wrestling Hall of Fame somewhere.
Oh, is he? Well, I have to look at that. But I think it was your brother Dave that pointed that out to the whole world on Twitter. How impressed he was with you, that you were in the West Virginia University or the Hall of Fame for basketball, and you were probably the only sprint car driver ever in the NBA draft, which is, I would assume that is absolutely accurate. So, I mean, quite the storied life that you've lived.
Pretty blessed, I'll tell you. I've seen and met a lot of great people, and I don't know, just have to thank Mom and Dad for giving me the genes to do what I do.
It is.
I don't know how else to explain it, but pretty blessed right now and fortunate and just having a ball with it.
I think the coolest part, though, as you mentioned, still on your A game. You won the first race of the year. This year, the Articat All-Star Circuit of Champions. That's right, new sponsor there with Articat coming on board. 51 dates in 7 states. As you look at the schedule, Dale, you pretty happy with what Tony Stewart and the gang's put together for you guys?
Yeah, no doubt. We don't, we don't have we have a lot of races, but I think that's a great amount. 50 races. We can go run some outlaw stuff here and there on-off weekends. But, it's tough for some of our teams to really hit more than that. So really pleased with what we have. We travel to some great places. Going to Lebanon Valley this year is a new place where we're going to go to. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to getting Grandview. Sealings Grove is new. So, they've sprinkled in some new stuff. Kokomo, looking forward to getting there. Brownstown. So it's pretty neat. A little diverse, and really looking forward to it. We're getting into some areas where we haven't been before in a little while, and that's always fun.
Yeah, but it's going to be a great year for you. Are you going to be able to make it out to the Hall of Fame induction that weekend?
Well, we run, I think Fremont has an outlaw race Friday night, and then we run over at Wayne County on Saturday and Bedford on Sunday, but I'll get out there no matter what. I will be there Saturday afternoon. I may have to get back to run Wayne County. We'll see. I'd love to come and just unload and run Knoxville and see if I could be the first person who was inducted into the Hall of Fame and win the feature that night. Of course, that's probably unrealistic because I've never won a race there in my life. But,
from a Knoxville point of view, yes. Why don't you do that? Why don't you come out and unload that weekend?
Well, I'd love to, but we're kind of committed with the All-Stars at, Wayne County and Bedford. So who knows? We'll see what happens. Maybe Tony will give me a reprieve on Saturday night where we can go out there and race and then get back and run Bedford Sunday. So you never know what's going to happen.
Well, I think you just asked Tony.
Yeah,
so
that's fine.
We'll just count that as on-air asking.
Last year, Tony gave Danny Smith
on the spot.
Last year, Tony Stewart gave Danny Smith a ride in the fast plane.
Yeah,
so
there you
Danny
go.
could get back and race. So I think we should take this one step further. And wouldn't it be cool for Tony? I know you're listening, Tony. Wouldn't it be cool for your all-star guy to go out and whoop them at Knoxville on that night? Oh, bragging rights right there, Dale. Bragging rights.
Yeah, true.
And then you can
maybe
get
we'll put a
that
little pressure on
first win under your belt. So then when you come back in August, there's a little more confidence going into the big race.
Yeah, I need some confidence going into that big race. We've run okay out there at times. Qualifying nights, we seem to run pretty good, but come Saturday night, maybe I should just get sick and put somebody else in the car. I'd probably have a better chance.
Oh, yeah.
There's so many. Hall of Famer needs to put someone else in the car.
Exactly. There's the Blaney modesty comes through there. Dale, always a pleasure. We appreciate you checking in. We appreciate you coming on at such a late notice, actually. We had planned on talking to Shane Stewart during this time, and not that you're second to Shane Stewart or anyone else. We were going to talk to him because he won the Winter Heat Championship. Shane apparently suffering from the Chili Bowl flu. So call up our buddy Blaney and chat with him. So we appreciate you coming on and chatting with us. I know we'll talk throughout the season. So congratulations on all the success, the Hall of Fame, and I know we'll talk to you down the road. If not before, we'll see you in Volusia.
10-4. It seems like I'm following Shane around a lot. I followed him around at Coca-Paw for 5 nights, and now I'm following him on your show. So it's okay.
You didn't follow him for 5 nights. The first night he followed you.
Yeah.
So there you go.
True.
There we go. Thanks, Dale. I appreciate it.
You got it, guys.
There we go. Dale Blaney joining us here on the program. And, wow, I mean, just so amazing. And I think he's right. I'm not sure, I don't go back a long way with the sprint car stuff, but I think you can make a case that Dale Blaney right now I think he's been more than 15 wins the last 2 or 3 years. He is performing now better than he probably has in his entire career.
And, just talking to him makes me think, with drivers racing longer, is it time to change the age to get into the Hall of Fame to 55 or even 60? I mean, Sammy Swindell's still racing in his 60s.
Well,
Steve Kinser's still racing.
Steve was over 55. Raymer was over 55. I know.
The age limit now is 50.
It's 50, yeah.
Yeah, and there's plenty of drivers out there who haven't, like the stats Dale Blaney will have by the end of his career will be incredible compared to what he has now.
Lasowski,
Danny Smith last year. Dave Blaney inducted last year, still racing.
That's cool. That's a very good point. It's a great point, and it's one of the beauties of our sport. So the thing of it is fans can follow along, and you can cheer for the Blaney family for 30 years. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like they come in and then they disappear and go somewhere else. I mean, there are sprint car fans in Ohio for the last 30 years have been cheering for the Blaney boys.
Or even longer. I mean, if you think about cheering for Lou going into it, there are some sprint car fans who've had a Blaney to cheer for in nearly every race they've been to.
I know. It's so cool, and usually the Blaney family does not disappoint if you're cheering for them. We need to step away. When we come back, Brad Doty is going to join us. Stay with us.
Hey, this is Donny Schatz, and you're listening to Kendra and Steve on Wing Nation, here on MotorRacingNetwork.com.
The 25th year of the Lucas Oil American Sprint Car Series is about to begin.
Expanded national and regional tours, over 150 events across the United States, and some of sprint car racing's biggest names and rising stars.
The 25th anniversary of the Lucas Oil ASCS is one you don't want to miss. Find out when the American Sprint Car Series is near you in 2016 at ASCSRacing.com. Find us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter,
and catch all the action away from the track live at RacingBoys.com.
Classic Ink USA Screen Printing and Embroidery is constantly testing the limits of custom racewear and specialized embroidery. Headquartered in Western Pennsylvania, Classic Ink holds the highest standard, maximizing your return as well as the ultimate customer satisfaction. From track swag fanwear to quick crew crewwear, Classic Ink has you covered. Their dedicated staff and designers will keep your race team and fans looking sharp. Contact Classic Ink today and get your team ahead of the competition. www.classicinkusa.com. That's Classic Ink, at the track and on your back.
Live sports are the one true reality entertainment, where a single dramatic moment can become timeless. In NASCAR, Motor Racing Network's live broadcasts elevates your senses to the sights, sounds, and struggles taking place on the racetrack.
Keselowski to the bottom of the racetrack. He tries to slide up. Newman is there. Sideways is Keselowski.
The power of radio to the imagination of the listener. Tune in to the Motor Racing Network. Visit MRN.com for an affiliate list in your local area.
You're listening to Winged Nation on MRN.com. Now here's Steve and Kendra.
Welcome back. We are having a great time. So glad you joined us here on MRN.com. And if you're joining us on MRN.com, but you want to see what it looks like, we also are on YouTube. So you can just go search for us.
And the graphics are super cool this year.
We got Robbie
Lots
Mays.
of B-roll video footage. You don't have to stare at me and Steve the whole time.
We got a guy named Robbie Mays running the show. I mean, and we are in good hands. Other than the fact he's from South Carolina, one of those Gamecock fans. Set that aside. Despite that, he has got us covered. So, hey, if you want another way to get Wing Nation beyond MRN.com, beyond our app, beyond all of the other apps, you can go to YouTube and see what is going on with Wing Nation. So we are so glad you joined us. And, man, I'll tell you what, one of our favorite times, every time we get to chat to our buddy, he is a National Sprint Car Hall of Famer, class of 2001. You can catch his fantastic work each and every month in Sprint Car and Midget Magazine. Joining us now on the Hercules Tire Hotline, it is Brad Doty. Hello, Brad. Welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me. It's officially racing season, it seems like, with you guys back on the air, although there's been a lot of off-season racing, but still, just having you guys back, and that feels closer to the summertime racing to me.
Well, that's what we were kind of talking about. It doesn't really feel like there was an off-season this year with Coca-Paw and the Chili Bowl and all the action down in Australia. Have you been able to keep up with all of that and kind of follow along all winter?
Yeah, I have. Obviously with Twitter and all that stuff, but unfortunately for me is I can't watch a lot of the internet broadcasts, but I keep up with it, social media, and any way I can. But we wasn't able to watch the Chili Bowl, unfortunately, and because Mav's not on Dish, and my internet's so slow that I couldn't actually watch it. But I kept up on Twitter and talked to a lot of people to try to stay involved. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it just seems like, with the PRI show right after the racing season ended, everybody was there, and people, going off to Australia, and you get through the holidays, and the winter heat, the Chili Bowl, and Florida coming up shortly. It's definitely a short off season especially for the teams and their crews.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we actually talked to Donny earlier on the program, and he said driver can go do it all the time, but the teams and crews, this is a great chance for them to catch their breath. And Brad, as we start to look at 2016, so many good things happening with the World of Outlaws, with the Arctic Cat All-Star Circuit of Champions, of course, National Sprint League back for a second year, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Knoxville, King of the West Series. What are a couple of things that you're going to be keeping your eye on early season as we start to get into it and get the dirt flying?
Just who's going to run where, basically.
Yeah.
A lot of talk in the upper Midwest on what drivers are going to be running what tracks and what series, and the All-Stars, it looks like, might have some new teams running, and even the Outlaws. So it's always an exciting time, the start of the season. And, as a driver in the team, you always have high hopes and high expectations, and you look at a schedule and you try to set a schedule, and a lot of it depends on obviously how it starts out. If the team unfortunately tears up some cars and motors early on, that can change their whole plans for the entire season. So we just have to kind of let the first month or two unfold and see what shakes out from there.
And besides the tire rule, the new tire rule we talked about with Dale Blaney a little bit, there doesn't seem to be a ton of changes going into the 2016 season. Is there anything that we're missing, or anything that we're just like, oh, this seems like it's pretty much status quo? Is there something in your head that we're just not thinking about?
Well, the addition to the up to 2-inch wicker bill is going to be kind of interesting in my opinion, because right now it's a 1-inch, and so guys will be able to go from 1 inch up to 2-inch. So to me, it's going to be interesting to see who does what. My hope is, and I think there's also, if they allow a 2-inch wicker bill, maybe they can drop the angle of the wing somewhat and stop some of what they call the dirty air. The big vacuum or the big air pocket behind sprint car. That they're running the wings so high, especially on a slick racetrack, that it's punching such a big hole in the air. We've talked about it before. So my hope is, at first I thought, going to an 18-inch tire and a 2-inch wicker bill, man, it's just going to lock these cars down even more and make passing even more of a premium, and it's going to be harder to but I'm trying to be open-minded and just say, okay, I'm just going to wait and see what happens. In theory, it should tighten the cars up to the point where they're going to run wide open and be more single file. But if it lets the guys race and pass, I'm open-minded enough to let's see what happens. But if they can drop the wing angle and run that 2-inch wicker bill, it should help the guys running behind them.
Yeah, indeed, because we see that. Brad, did you, I mean, and this goes back when you were racing, we see it particularly, we see it at Knoxville, we see it at Eldora. Williams Grove is all about the air, it seems like. That leader will go out, I mean, I've been up there a number of times, that leader will go out and look like he's just getting ready to slay everybody. He hits the lap traffic and just hits a wall. Did you notice that much, or is that kind of a new phenomena in the sport?
I think it's always been around, but I only raced about 6 years in a sprint car, and I don't want to make any excuses, but there were times that, say at Eldora, that you get in the corner and the thing just didn't want to turn. You'd follow somebody, and you might get in, and jump the cushion, and as a driver, I think, man, I just screwed up. I didn't get in right. I didn't drive the car right. The word dirty air wasn't even in our vocabulary. So, and I'll admit I didn't race and have enough experience. Maybe I just wasn't that smart to realize, that it was air off the nose wing or the turbulent air. But even back at Williams Grove, when they ran the 16 square foot wings, everybody ran them clear over the left rear tire. And guys like Smokey Snellbaker and some of the PA guys, literally their right front tire would be 2 feet off the ground. And dirty air was important back then with that little wing and running over the left rear. And I mean, you see those cars dart around and have trouble and issues, and the same thing. I think the dirty air has always been around, and the guy up front always had an advantage. But we just notice it more. And the 25 square foot wing, I mean, you look at some of the old pictures. We ran 25 square foot in the 80s, but they were 4.5 wide by 5.5. So now the 5x5 plants the left rear a little harder, wings the car down a little more. But 25 square foot is small compared to some of the early wings. I mean, they were massive wings up on those things. So I know dirty air has always been around. It's always been a problem. I think we're just more aware of it now.
Indeed. We have a question from Steve Patterson on Twitter. We are at Wing Nation, so you can certainly send the questions off throughout the year, throughout the radio programs. Brad, who is your dark horse? This is Steve Patterson's question. Your dark horse when it comes to the world of outlaws.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. How about that?
Dark horse. Yeah. Boy, that's a tough one. I mean, after the year Shane Stewart had, and the way he looked out at Winter Heat, not that he's necessarily a dark horse. Yeah. I mean, it's a good team, but with what Scotty Martin's crew chief did last year, getting plugged in and all that. I mean, the year they had was phenomenal. So, I want to call that team or that driver a dark horse, but I think they can look forward to them stepping it up even a little more this year, possibly.
Indeed. It is going to be fun to watch. And, yeah, I think the thing to me is there's a lot of new combinations over there. I mean, it's kind of the same group, but I remember at the banquet on the Monday after the World Finals, it was like press release after press release, musical chairs.
Well, that's the best part about sprint car racing. The silly season lasts for like 12 hours.
12 hours, done. Exactly. So I think the new combinations are going to be good. Brad, Sprint Car and Midget Magazine, of course, you do a monthly column in there, and we love everything you put in there. Well, what are you working on for your next column?
I don't even know yet. Partly, and I think I've done the article before, but to me, that's why TV is still relevant. And we were just talking about I can't get a lot of the live broadcast. I was having trouble getting your feed with the video now. And Kendra, you know where I live. It's not like I'm 10 miles to the nearest town or nearest house. So you think about some of the big farms in the Midwest or out in Montana, Idaho, the rural areas. The internet broadcasts are going to be tough for a lot of people to watch. So I think TV is still a big part of what we do and what we have to do to help the sport grow. So that's just an issue that a lot of us have, I guess.
No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that, you're a promoter, and you've got the Brad Doty Classic, big move this year, moving to Attica Raceway Park. If you could have a live broadcast of your race, of the Brad Doty Classic, as a promoter, would you give fans the option of staying at home and watching on TV?
No, at this point, no. And that's we when we had it at Lima, we were asked several times, and now it depends. I mean, if it's a pay-per-view, TV broadcast or a video broadcast, and you as the promoter get a share of the the earnings or the money brought in, that's one thing. But it's always a risk in my mind. Now, and I'm torn. I have to admit, I'm torn because I know there are people from Australia. We get a lot of fans from Australia, fortunately, but there are a lot of people from Australia and California and different places, that even Pennsylvania, that would love to see the race, and they're not going to come regardless. So on one hand, you have that telling you that you could showcase your sponsors and your event and to a wider audience. But then if the weather's iffy, it's always a fear that people will stay home and watch it basically for free, or even at a nominal fee for pay-per-view, if they can, if that's an option. So as of right now, I've always left the final decision up to my partners, and at Attica it hasn't even been brought up yet. So we'll wait and see what happens, for our race this year on July 12th. But it does scare me, I have to admit it, to try to have a especially live video.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly the argument right there, Brad. As a guy sits and watches it and wants to watch it every night, but as a guy who is a promoter, you have perfectly stated the scenarios with it. Brad, we always appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us, and I know we'll talk throughout the season, but thanks for joining us.
All right, well, thanks for having me on, you guys.
There we go. That is Brad Doty joining us there, and he has laid out the entire case right there. I mean, it's just is what it is. We all want it when we're sitting at home, but if we're paying the bills and it's a little bit of a shaky night, boy, it could be your worst enemy.
Yeah,
so,
it's the chicken and the egg syndrome, kind of. You want to build awareness of the sport and of your event, and you want to showcase that excitement, but in the same sense, are you keeping people from coming and experiencing it firsthand? It's a tough situation.
Brad is part of the 2001 class of the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. You can find out more information about that at sprintcarhof.com. Some birthdays. Johnny White earlier this week. Today is the birthday of 1996 inductee Lynn Paxton.
Awesome guy.
He is a great guy. 225 wins mainly over in Pennsylvania. 1983, he was driving for Al Hamilton, won the Port Royal Track Championship, won the National Open, and retired at the age of 39.
See, that sounds like another guy who retired the same year he won all of that.
Yes, he did. He did. He retired in Victory Lane at the National Open. He retired in Victory Lane at the National Open, and he runs the Eastern Museum of Motorsport Racing up in Pennsylvania. Other birthdays: Della Rice, Janet Holbrook on Wednesday, Thursday Judd Larson, Bob Saul on Friday, and James McElreath and Frank Funk on Saturday. Stay with us. More in just a minute.
This is Winged Nation on MRN.com. We'll be back talking more dirt with Steve and Kendra right after this.
The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
Honoring sprint car racing's greatest achievers.
25 historic sprint cars on display. A movie theater featuring sprint car racing films. And a breathtaking view of historic Knoxville Raceway. Go to SprintCarStuff.com for the largest sprint car gift shop on the planet. The National Sprint Car Hall of Fame and Museum in Knoxville, Iowa.
We'll heaten up your NASCAR off-season with hot country hits at America's Tailgate Party, NASCAR USA. Join host Rob Taylor as he fires up 2 hours of country music at the speed of sound from the coolest stars in Nashville. And Motor Racing Network's Steve Post keeps you up to date with the latest off-season racing news from all of the garages and shops in the sports. 52 weeks a year, it's hot laps and hot tracks on NASCAR USA.
Are you ready? To help children forget about their serious medical conditions so they can just be a kid. Then support Victory Junction, which is the dream of late race driver Adam Petty, who wanted to build a camp where children concentrate on fun and laughter, not illness or disability. At Victory Junction, kids enjoy ziplining, horseback riding, swimming, fishing, all in a medically safe environment, all at no cost to the camper. What do you say, Richard Petty?
Let's do this.
Learn more at victoryjunction.org.
I'm Craig Kinzer, now back to Wing Nation with Steve and Kendra.
Thank you, Craig, and we are so excited about the 2016 season. So much excitement going on across the board. We mentioned the National Sprint Car Hall of Fame. Dale Blaney, Frankie Kerr, Gus Linder going to be the drivers. On the car owner mechanic side, Roy Bud Grimm Jr., Shirley Kears Valentine. On the promoter, officials, media side, Gene Crucian and Doug Clark.
So awesome.
Yeah.
Doug Clark is one of those guys that's kind of synonymous with Knoxville Raceway. I mean, you
Right.
go out there and you look for Doug. And one of the things I love about Doug is he's not just a flagman. Like, he really is a good leader for the sport. Like, he's one of those guys that sticks around after the races, talks to fans, hangs out, talks about the old days. You know, it's just really cool talking to him. And I was like, hey, it's so awesome. I ran into him at the Chili Bowl, and I was like, so awesome, you got inducted. I'm really, proud. Congratulations. And he's like, well, if it wasn't for, Doug Wolfgang was my buddy. He's who introduced me to racing way back when, and it just kind of led to this.
So cool. It really is so cool. And in the pre-1945 Mark Light, the National Sprint Car polls are out. No shocker. Really not a shocker on either one of them.
Maybe
a little. 360. I mean, Aaron Reitzel, 360. Donny Schatz, of course, the 410 one. Team owner, Tony, the 410, Tony Stewart. Rookie of the Year, Chase Dietz. Had a great year up in Pennsylvania. PA guy there. Wild Card Award, Rico Abreu. Promoter of the Year, Todd Quering. J&J was the builder manufacturer, and we need to thank everyone. Wing Nation, the media award on the 410 side. We do appreciate everyone's support following along, but that's mainly the folks here at MRN.com and MAV TV that support us, and fans for tuning in. You guys are just so amazing.
And for, improving us every year. Like, I'm watching on the screen here while we're doing the show, and the graphics and B-roll. I know we talked about already, but, every year the support we get is even more so.
MRN is amazing, and this year's going to be our best year.
The fans,
we
incredible.
just love you guys. We just absolutely love you guys, so we appreciate that. 360, Aaron Reitzel, driver and owner, Ryan Giles, and, of course, Scott Giles is his dad, runs a big dyno business up in Des Moines. Ryan, Rookie of the Year, races 360s at Knoxville. Wild Card Award, Aaron Reitzel, and Morgan Turpin, the first female to win a championship. She won Pete Walton's USCS championship this past year. Morgan, a great young racer. We need to get her in here sometime. When they come through there.
That'd be great.
She's fantastic. A Promoter of the Year, our buddy Pete Walton. And Pete Walton, one of my favorite guys to talk to, ain't scared of a story. When you talk to Pete, and I say this with all respect, love Pete Walton to death, but boy, I'll tell you what, you better have 10 or 15 minutes when you're walking a trade show and you run into Pete, and I love every minute when I get a chance to talk with him. So congratulations on a Promoter of the Year, Builder again, J&J, and Hoseheads.com, the media award. Coming up, Kendra, the 44th annual Lucas Oil Grand Annual Sprint Car Classic. It's this weekend, Premier Speedway in Warrnambool, Australia. You were there just a couple of years ago.
I was. I mean, this is a big race. This is what, the Australians consider their Knoxville Nationals. It's a big deal. A lot of Americans entered in this race. Lots of fun. I mean, they do a really good job with the atmosphere, very similar to Knoxville.
123 drivers have been entered. Right now, 11 Americans. Danny Smith making his final trip down under. Danny Smith is down there. Terry McCarl. Danny Dietrich making his first trip down.
No.
Oh, that's right.
He was there the year I went
Well,
because he bothered me on the airplane.
That's right,
the way
he
home.
was. I'm sorry. That's right, he was. I missed that one. Brad Sweet, Craig Kinzer, Jason Sides down there, Kyle Hurst, Carson Macedo, Randy Hannigan, Jonathan Allard, and Paul McMahon.
Yeah, and it sounds like Paul was like a last-minute addition.
Last-minute addition, and Paul, see, Kendra, we've talked about the McMahon family a lot, okay? I've given up on reality TV because I just follow McMahons on Twitter. Okay, now Paul's daughter apparently led by Braden, but this time it's his sister. I think it's Kylie.
Is this the request of a certain
dress that
she
a $400 dress?
It is beautiful.
It is a beautiful dress.
I think Dad needs to step it up.
Well, that's what Mom thinks too, because Mom even used "You better win that classic" for your little princess. In other words, that's your daughter when she wants a $400 dress. So Paul, he is not in the airport. He has made it down there.
But that was my first thought. I'm sitting there and thinking, for a guy that has that many problems flying, is flying to Australia a good idea? Is that? I don't know. I mean, it's a long flight. So you don't have a lot of layovers once you're in, up in the air. So once he's up there, he's fine. I'm just thinking, whew, that's a lot of risks for lost luggage and layovers and delays and cancellations.
Yeah, absolutely. So follow along with the McMahons on Twitter. That's the newest and greatest reality series that you have. Our friends at the Lucas Oil ASCS National Tour, presented by MAV TV, they've got a solid season. 25th season that Emmett Hahn and his gang have been doing this. And $250,000 point fund, paying 15 spots, $60,000 for the champion. They start at Golden Triangle Speedway on March 11th, March 12th at Battleground. And our friends, theracingboys.com, will have the full
and
season.
Let's hope the weather gods work with them this
year. They got killed last year.
I mean, if anything, I think everybody in that Midwest Mississippi River is like, please.
Oh, my
work
gosh.
with
Yeah,
us.
they all got killed, that's for sure. So, hey, how about that? That is going to wrap up our first edition.
First show, Steve,
First show
in the
in the books. Of course, we've got Wing Nation on MAV TV, presented by Sage Fruit. Rico Abreu going to join us. And, of course, MRN.com is your source for all the latest sprint car and racing news. For Kendra Jacobs, I'm Steve Post. Thanks for joining us here on Wing Nation, presented by
You've been listening to the nation's premier winged sprint car radio program, Winged Nation. Tune in next Tuesday at noon for more talk from the dirt tracks. Winged Nation is also available on demand in the MRN.com Media Center or download from iTunes or Stitcher. Winged Nation is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.